We are honored to have with us for the very first time Senator Ted Cruz. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Vince, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
And I'm going to resist the temptation, as you mentioned in your book. I understand that George W. Bush referred to you as Theodore, so I will resist that during the course of this interview.
I appreciate it, Vincent.
Let's start off talking about your overall goal, and I think I speak for a lot of people in the grassroots, Senator Cruz, who are tired of the tampering around on the edges and trying to do this and that and ultimately not do anything of consequence.
Yep.
Most of the people I know want radical action to restore America to its constitutional foundations. Please tell me, what will Ted Cruz as president do to remedy this situation?
Well, as you know, Vince, you are preaching to the choir. What we're doing is unsustainable, and we are losing the greatest country on earth. And we know how to turn it around. The principles aren't complicated. It is getting back to the free market principles that made America the greatest country in the history of the world. I am running on three big principles. Number one, bringing back jobs and growth and opportunity. And we do that through tax reform and regulatory reform. Number two, defending our constitutional rights, every single one of them, instead of the federal government violating the Bill of Rights, violating our religious liberty, having the federal government defend our constitutional rights. And number three, restoring America's leadership in the world. Right now, we've abandoned our friends and allies, and we're giving weakness and appeasement to our enemies. We need to turn that around. We need to stand with our allies, especially the nation of Israel. And we need a strong commander-in-chief who will stand up and say unequivocally, we will defeat radical Islamic terrorism, and under no circumstances will Iran be allowed to acquire a nuclear weapon. These are simple, common-sense principles that the overwhelming majority of Americans believe, and we need a president who will stand with the American people and not with the Washington cartel.
Now, one of the things that I know a lot of people are concerned about, since you've touched on some issues of foreign policy, I want to go to an area that is of profound concern to a lot of people. I think I, for one, watched the mistakes, and I believe some profound mistakes were made by the Bush administration. And there are a lot of people who are, frankly, they're done with American intervention in the affairs of other countries. And I want to get a sense of what a Cruz administration may look like. And I want to touch on two things. First off, this area of interventionism, would it be a presidency that would be characterized by interfering in other countries' business? The second thing is, your advisors, as it relates to foreign policy issues, are you going to bring in some fresh blood, or are we going to bring in retreads from prior administrations who are going to do the same nonsense we've been doing before?
Well, let's start with the first question. Absolutely not. I don't think it is the job of our military to be the world's policeman. I don't think we should be sticking our nose in local battles that we have no interest in. If you look at the Republican field, there is a spectrum of foreign policy. On one side, you would probably put Rand Paul, who's a good friend of mine. On the other side, you would probably put John McCain and Marco Rubio, who tend to be far more on the interventionist side of things. I would characterize my views really as a third point on that triangle. That I believe the central touchstone for all U.S. foreign policy should be the vital national security interests America. I would characterize my views as very much in line with the policies that Ronald Reagan embodied, which is, number one, that we need to be a clarion voice for freedom. The bully pulpit of the presidency is powerful, and the president should speak out for freedom and human rights. But when it comes to U.S. military involvement, America has always been reluctant to engage in military action, and we should remain reluctant to engage in military action if and when military conflict is necessary. We should begin with a clear stated objective up front. We should go in with overwhelming force, and then we should get the heck out. It is not the job of our military to engage in nation building. It's not the job of our military to turn foreign nations into democratic utopias. It is the job of our military to hunt down and kill terrorists who've declared war on America before they succeed in murdering innocent Americans. So let me give give two examples to illustrate what exactly those principles mean. The first I would point to is Syria. And a couple of years ago, when President Obama proposed a unilateral military attack on Syria, I initially kept an open mind to hear the president's justification for how this was in our national security interests. The president was unable to give any such justification, so I helped lead the opposition to getting involved in Syria. I didn't think then, and I don't think now, we have any dog in that sectarian civil war in Syria. On the other hand, however, when it comes to Iran and Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon, the Ayatollah Khamenei routinely chants death to America. He refers to America as the great Satan. I believe Iran acquiring nuclear weapons is the greatest national security threat facing America. So I think we should do anything necessary to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. What's the difference? The former was not a threat to our safety and security. The latter is. I think that's the touchstone that should decide every one of these issues.
We're talking with Senator Ted Cruz and candidate for president here at 52 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock, and we only have a short amount of time left. We hope we can talk with you again soon. I want to do a sharp turn into economic issues and touch on an issue that's really getting a lot of attention lately, especially because of Donald Trump, immigration. And one of the very significant issues that I've seen come to the forefront is this H-1B visa program issue. And my impression from what I've been able to research about you've been in support of this. And I want to get a sense of where you would go with this, because this seems to be out of control to the point we're putting folks who are from outside the country in competition with Americans who desperately need jobs.
Well, Vince, I agree with you on that, and I'll tell you, I'm working with my colleagues in the Senate on introducing a package of legislation on reforms to the H-1B program. I have been very, very concerned at the growing reports of abuse of the program, of companies laying off American workers and replacing them with foreign workers. That's not what the H-1B program was designed to do. It was designed to bring in engineers and computer scientists who could generate jobs and add to our economic growth. And if companies are abusing it and laying off American workers, they need to be investigated. They need to be audited. If they've broken the law, they need to be prosecuted. And I am right now actively working on reforms to prevent these abuses because they shouldn't be happening. And, you know, it's one of the sad consequences of the Obama administration that refuses to enforce our immigration laws across the board. This is the same Obama administration that will not secure the border. This is the same Obama administration that releases violent, criminal, illegal aliens. And they're not enforcing the laws against companies that are abusing the H-1B program. If I'm elected president, we will have a Department of Justice that enforces the law across the board. We will secure the border. And I'll tell you, you know, I'm grateful that Republican primary candidates are starting to talk about illegal immigration. That is a good thing for them to focus on. You know, I will note that any conversation about illegal immigration very quickly turns to, okay, what is the record of every candidate in the field on immigration? And if you look to the 10 Republicans standing on that debate stage, a majority of the candidates standing on that stage have publicly supported and embraced amnesty. And I am the only candidate on that stage, Vince, who has never supported amnesty and who led the fight against the Gang of Eight amnesty bill, led the fight against Barack Obama and Chuck Schumer and the establishment Republicans trying to grant massive amnesty. You look at the other 9 Republicans, none of them were anywhere to be found in that fight. And I think that's one of the reasons our campaign is getting so much support all across the country, in South Carolina and North Carolina and Iowa and New Hampshire. We're seeing conservatives unite because people are tired of campaign conservatives. They're tired of people who talk a good game and haven't walked the walk. And when it comes to immigration, unlike other candidates who give speeches, I'm the only one that has a proven record of leading the fight to secure the borders. And I give you my word, if I am elected president, we will secure the borders, we will solve this problem, and there will not be amnesty.
Well, I want to ask you, we only have about 30 seconds left, unfortunately up against a news break here. I want to ask you, before we go, in follow-up to this, because illegal immigration, I think we're all in agreement on what to do with this. Do you also think it's time for us to take a look at reducing the levels of all immigration into this country? Is this an important conversation for today?
I think it is certainly an important conversation to ask, how is our legal immigration system serving the needs of America? Right now, our system favors chain migration, favors bringing in distant family members. I think we should reform legal immigration so that it is a skills-based system, that it is bringing in people who will start companies, who will produce economic growth, who will produce jobs. Many other countries on earth have skills-based immigration systems that are beneficial for their economy. I think we need to have a serious conversation about reforming legal immigration so that it benefits American citizens rather than driving down wages and making it harder for people to make ends meet.
Senator Ted Cruz, also the author of A Time for Truth, Reigniting the Promise of America. Thanks a lot for coming on the broadcast, sir. Look forward to you coming on again very soon to discuss some other issues, and also the big rally taking place in Greenville next week. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Look forward to seeing you there, and if you want to learn more, please go to tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Thanks so much, Vince. God bless.